Hey y'all, it's me. I'm going to just turn the camera around. I have been playing with trying to figure out how to just hit the button so that it spins itself to make sure that it still continues working. I am so completely inept at this that it's a challenge. Nala's in here with me, just laying there in all of her little sassy frass glory. She a doll. She's one of my almost 10-year-old pups. All right, today we're going to work with some of these seed blocks that I worked on the other day. I didn't get any of them planted, but they're good and damp. I dampened them today. And let's just talk about that real quickly before we go any further. You can see that I lost one or two where I just didn't have them held together good. All right, when you water these puppies, I had suggested leaving a little bit of an area. This is for your water to pour, and you're going to pour it very, very, very slowly because you don't want it to kind of channel and wash against your seed or your soil blocks, because it'll loosen them a little bit. So we'll do that, and after they've had a chance to set for, I don't know, you can tell when they're beginning to look nice and damp. You can take them and just very, very gently lift them up. Take a little bucket or a bowl or something and pour it off the corner. And now what I do, after I've poured off as much as I can without completely tilting it really deeply, because I don't want to do that. I don't want them to slide. I'll put it up on another one like that, let it tilt, and when the water comes down in here, I'll use little strips of terry cloth, like old towels, and I'll just dab them down in there and just soak up the extra water. And then they're ready and they're good to go until the next day. You can see I have them on my little heat blankets, and I've got them plugged in over here in this little power cord. And I've set, I've put these little pieces of wood underneath of them just to protect my table. And then I've got towels under that. But, however you have to set up. And for these small blocks, because they dry so quickly, and that's the reason when I tried to check my seed a couple of weeks ago, if you remember that, I kept letting them get too dry. And you can't forget them a day. You can't. And because then you've lost your seed. So I've put them up on a cake rack just to give a little air buffer underneath them so they don't get too damp or too warm. Now these bigger soil blocks, they'll be fine just sitting directly on these heat mats. And I think I have shown you, as a matter of fact, I know I have shown you this little guy that you get at the Gardener's Workshop website. And let me set my camera up, because this is going to be a little bit difficult. Turn you around so I can see what I'm doing, and you will be able to see what I'm doing, and that will be nice for all of us. If I can get my tripod set opened back up. Goodness gravy, y'all. That thing is a little bit hard to work. There we go. All right. Now, I can see what I'm looking at. I can see what y'all are looking at. That makes this nice. All right. This little thing, it's a garden planner, and I've shown it to you before, but it's such a nice tool that those of you that haven't seen it, I'm going to take a moment and show you again. I had bought one a number of years ago when Hugh and I were at the Mother Earth News Conference over in Asheville, and it's been misplaced. I don't know what I've done with it, but anyway, I ordered this one from the Gardener's Workshop, and she has them on there for less than $6. I think they were like $5.95. Then there's shipping, and that's the problem. The shipping's always expensive. But if you can pick up some of your seed from her at the same time, then that will make the shipping much more pleasant, I guess. She doesn't sell vegetable seed. She sells all sorts of beautiful cut flower seed. So check out her website. Her name is Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'll show you her books in just a moment. But anyway, I've made a little red line up here where my last frost date is. This is the spring side. There's a spring side, and then there's a fall side. And so the spring side, my last frost date for the winter is May 7th. So over here, up here at the top, I notated where May 7th would be. And so that was easier just to line it up real quickly with this little red line that's in the guide itself. My hands are locking up on me. Over here on this far left side, it has a list of all of the, I think it's like 14 of the most common garden vegetables. Doesn't have any of the flowers on here that I'm growing this year, but it has the garden vegetables. And so you can very quickly look up here and it will tell you, say we'll look at onion sets. And you don't have a sow inside. This SI right here, this means to start inside. And so we won't be doing that. The first planting, however, looks like it's March 22nd. So that gives you the date for that. So let's go down here where the cabbage is. You do start that one inside, and you go up above it. The start inside date is March 1st. However, I'm going to go ahead and start mine today. I get excited. And then your first planting of those is April 5th. And, no, wait a minute. Let me look a little better. Yeah. It's easier if I'm looking directly at it. April 5th. And that's because it's a cool, hardy annual. That's one of those plants that go out into the garden early. And in some areas, the flowers that we're going to be discussing in a little while can actually, depending on your zone, can go into the garden the winter before. And Lisa Mason Ziegler is the best place to go to learn those techniques. And I've learned so much from her. And I absolutely just encourage y'all to continue or to check out her YouTube videos and her webpage. These are two of my favorite books that I have purchased from her. The Cool Flowers book teaches how to do that, how to start your cool flowers. If you live in, usually it's like zone 5 or 6 or above, a lot of the cool flowers, the cool hardy annuals, you can start in your garden in the winter. Well, it looks like most of these, there's a few places for 5 and 6 that you can start in the winter. And let me see, you heard some of these names: corncockle, green mist, dill, snapdragons, bupleurum, bachelor's buttons, different things like that if you're set up where you can start them in the winter or in the fall before winter season, then they're going to be blooming for you really nice and early. My favorite book is the first book I ever bought of hers, and it's The Vegetables Love Flowers. And I don't mind just showing her things and giving a shout out to her simply because her teaching has been such a blessing to me. I've learned so much from her, and I'm still learning from her. I'm getting ready to read this book again. Plus, guys, just look. Let me go through it at the beautiful. I as an artist, I just love looking at all this color and all these flowers. It just makes me happy. Oh, but anyway, check those out. Those might be something you'll be interested in. Now, when we had talked the other day, we talked about these large ones. We're only going to use those for growing the seed that are very large. And last year I saved my pea seed, and I'm just going to, because they're so big, I'm just going to stick one down in here, and I'll get some dirt in a little while. You won't see me do this because I'm not going to leave in here and go find it. And I'm just barely tucking those down a bit. But I'll go get some dirt, and I'll come back and just sprinkle a little bit over top of them. And then I also have, what is the fabric? Burlap. I have some burlap that I'll lay over top of them. That'll just give them a little bit more darkness and help keep them from drying out quite so badly. And I'm going to grow this entire little tray. That'll give me 80, oops, see I busted it apart. Popped it down in there too hard. That'll give me 80 pea plants to start my little garden with this year. Not really, I don't guess you really even need to have to push these down at all. I don't know why I'm doing that. Let's just drop them in that little hole. That puts them deep enough. That one was not quite too deep. Those two I broke apart the other day when I was carrying them in. All right. And while I'm here, I give you some seed for your gardens. Girls, I just saved way too many. I'll have to give some to my close neighbors. All right. Let's set that guy out of the way. And I don't think I have any. You know what? I'm going to start these asparagus in these bigger cells because they won't be going outside for quite a while. And now asparagus, you can buy asparagus slips and even still it takes a couple of years before you're going to have asparagus to eat. Starting them from seed, it's going to be 3 years before we'll have a stand of asparagus, but then it's going to be a plant that will give us asparagus for many years because it is a perennial. And I'm going to put 2 in these just to make sure I get something germinate. Oops, that one went between. But this tray will give me 80 asparagus plants to put in my garden when it's time. And I actually haven't even looked. I hope I'm not starting the seed too early. I don't think I am, because starting it in these bigger cells, I should be able to keep them inside for a good little while before they have to go out. Because I've got to get to put some in there, girls. Well, I'll put one more in there just in case I didn't. And you guys know I have a hard time talking and working at the same time, so you're just going to be patient with me. All right. And I'm just kind of dropping one in each of these now. Oops, no, that one got 2. I'll come back and put an extra one because I just don't want to run myself too short. I don't know, I didn't look at the seed packet to see how many seed were in it. All right. Looks like I'll easily have enough to go back through and put another one. These are fresh seed this year. Hugh and I just went to the So True seed store over in Asheville. Oops. A little over a week ago. And picked all of these seed up fresh. This makes me very happy. I don't think I have to worry about any of them not germinating. And some of my seed are so old. I have 3 left. All right, I'm gonna just drop them in a random cell. Good, good. There we go. And now these little bitty dudes, they're actually easier to start. Let me see if I have. Yeah. Some toothpicks over here. I use these little toothpicks for starting. I'm grabbing get a hold of these seeds. There's a lot more asparagus down in there. I should have saved those two. I could start another tray. I may still start another tray. This is the staple at our house, is cabbages. Hugh has to have him some cabbages. It was funny when we first got married. Honestly, it seemed like he ate a head of cabbage every day by himself. I don't know. Oops. I think I should have gotten myself a bowl, y'all. And as a matter of fact, should have got myself some tweezers. All right. This has got to be kind of like watching paint dry. I'm sorry. It just seemed that there were enough of you interested in doing these little soil blocks. I just wanted to give you an idea of how it works, and we will keep up with them over the course of the next couple weeks. You'll get to see them germinate, and then when they're about 50%, when 50% of these little guys are showing signs of germination, we'll move them outside. Well, not outside, but onto the front porch. We have a glassed-in front porch, and there's shelving out there already set up, and I'll be able to, oops, I'm just having a hard time with this. You know what it is, and I just realized I'm having a hard time squeezing my fingers together. That's new and different this year. That's telling me that my arthritis has gotten a little bit worse this winter. I want to have to possibly go see a rheumatologist, even though I think that after some reading I've done this past month, that it may not be rheumatoid arthritis, but maybe instead it is osteoarthritis, just based on the symptoms. I don't know if that's good or bad, but either way, I need to probably go see somebody and see if there's some things I can be doing that will help it to progress more slowly. So anyway, there's Pops. Say hi, Pops.
Hello, everybody. What are we planting?
Right now, your cabbages.
Cabbages?
Yeah.
Plant plenty.
Oh, I know. I was telling them what a cabbage
And
person.
we'll see how we do. We failed at cabbage growing for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Trouble with cabbage moss.
Well, this year we're going to cover them over. We've decided that it's worth the extra expense and the time just to go ahead and.
One seed. You putting two in them.
Well, I am, because I don't know if they're going to germinate well or not.
Take your chances, one.
All right. He always fusses at me about putting 2 seeds in my cells, and I do. I always put 2 seeds in the cell.
Go, come on.
Nala, let Nala stay in here.
Kaiser.
That's Noble.
Noble.
He's fine. He'll be all right.
Huh?
Noble will be fine in here. He had to come in and be nosy, because I don't never do this to suit him. But that's all right. He grew up gardening. I did not. But, and what I end up doing, and I will tell you this, what I end up doing is I'll put 2 or 3 seeds in each cell. And this has been in years past when I grow in the big like the 6-pack plastic starter things. And I cannot stand it. If they're green, I cannot stand just thinning them. So I will very gently pull them out, keep from breaking the root, and I will start another one with that. So if I start, say, 50 tomato plants, we'll end up with closer to 150 tomato plants, because they all live. They are happy to continue living if you're just gentle with them. But and it really gets him when I have gazillions and gazillions of what are they? like cherry tomatoes, the little guys, and because they are tough. They're tough dudes. All right, and this is all I'm going to put you through. Then we'll talk about the types of seed that I'm putting in the ground or in my soil blocks this time of year. I sound a little discombobulated today. I hope I'm making sense. But it is difficult for me to talk and actually do something with my hands at the same time because I get distracted really easily. My kids are like this too. You'll notice that about Aaron. Chelsea's the same way. It's all part of having ADD. And yeah, they inherited that from their mother. Unfortunately, they didn't have that diagnosis when I was a kid. If they had known a little bit better how to deal with it, I might have not been quite so distracted in school. Actually, I was bored in school, unless it was an art class or a history class. Math, oh my goodness, forget it. Math is just totally out of my league. I can balance a checkbook, and that's about all I've ever cared to do. You know, I could pour these in my hands and make that just a little bit easier. Any of you that have ADD or ADHD, you're looking at what I'm doing here and you're saying, yeah, I see me. I see me exactly. Makes life a challenge. Girls, that's it. It's just challenging. But these are so much fun when we start seeing them poke their little heads out. I've been growing my seed for the past, let me see, about 7 or 8 years. Prior to that, we had no success growing seed. We would try, we'd get them started, and they'd seem to be doing okay. Then we'd move them out onto the porch, and we had like a little covered porch over in Canton where we lived, and attempt to do and everything there that we needed to. Oh, let's try to pour them back in there instead I poured them back out. Come on, little dudes. But Jared, he's the one that started me on my seed growing venture. He said, Mom, I've been doing some reading about starting the seed. And he said, this is what you need to do. He said, you need to water from the bottom. Now, that's one of the things we had always done differently. We had always watered them from the top. And apparently, watering from the top can cause seed to develop different types of little seed illnesses. I don't know what you'd call it. But I think I've got some in all of them. And I bet you're thinking, good, because you're driving me nuts. That even drove me nuts, girls. All right, and I'll have to sprinkle a little bit of dirt over those in just a minute. But what was I saying? Watering seed from the bottom. Okay, even if you're going to use the plastic 6-packs or whatever, take them and see this tray right here. Oops, no, yeah. All right. See this like cafeteria tray right here? You're going to want to use something like that or something deeper. Maybe even like, I usually use like the great big tin roasting pans. I'm trying to look at the right spot on here. All right, let me try, because I know I'm looking at the wrong spot. All right, now I can look at you. But the tin roasting pans, set your seed down in there, or your 6-pack containers down in there, and then move one of them out, because they'll fit in there pretty nicely actually, depending on what size you get, and pour in about an inch of water. Set everything back in there and let them set until you can tell they've had plenty of time to kind of soak up or wick up the water. And when you've given them enough time, just take them. I will take mine out and set them on like this cake cooling rack, and just over the kitchen sink, and let them drain good, and then put them back in their little container or whatever you're keeping them in. If you're keeping them in like these things, and so they won't leak everywhere. You've got them contained. You've got the water so that it has somewhere to continue leaking without being a big mess. I have had phenomenal success using those as well. And the reason we want to use the soil blocks is because you don't have to kind of poke them out. You don't have to poke your little seedlings out of that plastic. I don't want to waste the plastic. That's just one of my own personal little, I'm trying to do better, just not being so much of a consumer. And also these little guys, because you can keep them perfectly moist without overwatering them, they're also almost fail-proof if you don't forget to water them. And so that's something I've got to set one of my timers. Yes, absolutely, I will set one of my timers. But I don't know about you, but just when this time of year gets here and there's seed growing happening, that makes me anxious for warmer days and to get started on outside projects. But let me go over some of my seed real quickly with you. Now I've got to look and see the carrots. You can, most of the time people I think will just direct sow the carrots. I'm growing these little bitty short stubby ones. I've got two different varieties. One's called Littlefinger and one's called Shenkurota. Kurota, I'm not sure how that's pronounced. But anyway, I'm growing those because they're short little carrots, and our dirt here, our soil here is, red clay mud basically, and we're working on conditioning it, making it healthier with our compost and cow manure and all that sort of thing. But in the meantime, I'm hoping to be able to grow some carrots, and I've got to use the little stubby ones so that they'll actually grow. All right, I'm also going to go ahead and start my lettuce and my beets. I've got a couple different types of lettuce. My spinach. There's another variety of cabbage. And celery. I grew celery last year, but it wasn't very successful with it. So I did something. I'm going to have to do a little reading. The broccoli, I had thought I was not even going to fool with growing the broccoli this spring because it bolts so quickly. But I think I may go ahead and grow half of this packet this spring and save the other half for fall. The bee balm, I can start this early. The time, I've got to find out about the time, I'm not sure. Straw flowers is a cool season hardy annual. The feverfew, I'm not sure about the borage or the barrage, I'm not sure. The cilantro, I think that's a warm season. And the dill. Dill is one that Lisa Mason Ziegler uses that in her cut flower bouquets. And I find that really interesting because a lot of people don't like the smell of dill. I like it, but it doesn't smell like a flower to me by any stretch of the imagination. Snapdragons will be an early cool season. The sweet pea will. Okay, there's the cabbage I already started. There's the rest of the asparagus. And those I won't grow like tons of them, but I'm going to get them started. And one of the things I've got to make sure and do is put a piece of tape over here and label what my trays are. And I'm wanting to do a tray, a full tray. Well, the cabbage, I knew I'd want to do a full tray of cabbage because Hugh will eat a lot of that. And that's 100 right there. That's 100 seed. And who in the world can eat 100 head of cabbage? We'll be giving some away. But the thing of it is that this fall we'll probably grow another 100 head of cabbage, but we're going to have a root cellar set up. Now, I'm not sure about keeping cabbage in a root cellar, but I do know that cabbage does really well in a hole in the field. Actually, one of the things that Hugh said that they did when he was a kid growing up is that they would just dig the cabbage, they'd pull the cabbage up, dig a little hole, and kind of bury the cabbage back down with the roots sticking up out of the ground. And he said, whenever a cabbage was needed, they'd go out and just jerk it up out of the ground and bring it in, and the top 3 or 4 layers of leaves would be yucky. And he said, he just remembered that they would peel those leaves off, and then underneath of it, it was just beautiful, white, crisp, sweet cabbage. Perfect. And so, the older generation had a way of preserving, making things work. And we like coleslaw, so we'll probably do quite a bit, or not coleslaw. We like coleslaw too, but sauerkraut, we'll probably do a lot of that. I'd rather ferment it instead of doing the sauerkraut in the pressure canner, because you lose so much of the nutrition that way. Fermenting is only really good for 3 or 4 months, and then you have to have somewhere to store it in a cold space. So we don't have an extra refrigerator downstairs to put cabbage in, or whatever. And I'm thinking, I just ate a cheese sandwich a little while ago, and I didn't check my teeth afterwards. I hope I'm not grossing y'all out. All right. Let me see. What else did I want to cover in this video? I think that's it. Like I said, my thinking's a little discombobulated today, and I'm just anxious to finish these seed up. I'm not going to put you through sitting here with me sticking the rest of them in these trays, but probably within the next week or so, I'll be soil blocking again, and I won't put you through that either. But I did want to mention all of these trays I got on Amazon. These trays come in a pack of 6 for, I think they're like $20. And that is pricey. I understand that is pricey, but this is something that I will use from now on. And I like the fact that they're narrow and that I just have one set of soil blocks on there. These trays, I don't remember I'd gotten these over the last couple of years. I buy them. I'm just trying to, buy as many as I need over time. So I've been buying a few dozen every fall or every year. And these work perfectly for these larger soil blocks, so that you still have, a nice place for your water well on both sides, or on the side. And yeah. So I just wanted to direct you to the Amazon or, wherever. I know that Lisa Ziegler, I know her site sells these, and I can't remember the price of them. The reason that I haven't purchased them from her is that I think they sell out pretty quickly. So I found these and just decided to buy a couple sets of them. And all right, we'll keep up with this over the course of the next couple weeks, so you can see these little seeds start to sprout, and we'll get them moved out on the porch where they'll get some artificial light and some natural light out there also. But we'll watch them. We'll follow their little lifespan. And I think I'm finished for right now. I went like 35 minutes. I've been trying to keep these kinds of videos under 30 minutes, but it's not always panning out. I think I talk too much, or I forget too much. One or the other. Girls, I love you. I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful Sunday. And painting video coming up real soon this week. Not tomorrow. but real soon this week. Be patient with me. A lot going on right now. In the middle of summer, things will slow down just a little bit so that we can be a little bit more consistent getting these painting videos up and running. But there will be one within the next couple of days. And be patient with me. I promise that they are coming. Just running out of time. All right. Love ya. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye.